Hello. Okay, so we're back with another writer's chat, and today I'm chatting with Angela Stevens, who I've met through a small Facebook group I'm part of, and we're working on a joint group project at the moment as well, which we'll talk about more later on. But yeah, so today's writer chat is with Angela. So get a cup of tea or coffee and enjoy the conversation. So Angela and I have just met, so this is going to be a very organic first chat at our first virtual writers meeting. So Angela, your books, how many have you got now? You've got...
I have 10 published.
Oh wow.
And I have 3 coming out this year.
That's exciting. So are they all indie published, or are some traditionally published as well?
Indie, although one of the ones that I'm thinking will come out this year might not, because I might actually decide to shop that one around. It's a little bit of a divergence for me. It's going more into magical realism, which I've never done before, but I'm feeling kind of really excited about it, and I might just try going a traditional route and see if I get any reaction to it first.
So can I just clarify, so what are you calling magical realism?
So everything that's based in the real world, well, let me say, mine is a bit like, have you read Ewan Ivy's Snow Child?
No.
All right, okay. So mine's a historical Icelandic story.
Oh, cool.
Where magic is just like part of everyday life, but not necessarily like in the Harry Potter world type of thing.
Okay.
You know, it's based in the real world, in the real time, and it's 18 something that my story based in, and the magic sort of pops in and out, but sort of very casually. It's not a whole world of magic. It's sort of like on the fringe of magic.
Okay, so how does that differ from urban fantasy or paranormal, for example?
Because in that, which I do write as well. In fact, most of my fantasy is written in that genre. That's more sort of, for me anyway, it's the werewolf world. They have these set skills, set powers, maybe be werewolves or vampires, or maybe it's fairies or what have you, and they intermingle with the human world, but they have their own world as well, so to speak, with their own hierarchy and systems and how things are done. This is a lot more subtle, a lot less magic. Yeah, it's kind of, is this real? Isn't it real?
Yeah.
Did it happen? Didn't it happen? Kind of thing. So at the end of the book, you're not necessarily sure if this was in somebody's imagination, maybe, or whether it really happened.
Ah, sounds very interesting. So I'm intrigued, because I'm calling mine urban fantasy. I started off calling paranormal romance, and then I went to the shops and I saw all the covers, and I find the paranormal romances tend to have the covers with the, the romance cover guy, which, don't get me wrong, I started off reading romance. I've been reading that since I was about 11, I reckon. I love that stuff. But, when I was looking at my story, I was thinking, but I don't think it's actually that kind of a story, because, like, there is romance in it. And I'm not going to say chaste romance, but I'm just, at this point in time, I don't feel like writing long-winded, highly descriptive love scenes. I don't, it's just not where I'm feeling. I like drawing out the romance, though, and the tension and the conflict there. But, what happens after they kiss, I like my imagination to do the work, and your imagination can do the work there. I've read books where it's like, how many hairs people have and where they've got them, and it's just not where I'm at right now. I can't say that that'll change again, but at this stage, I'm not feeling that. And so I don't want to write that. So I was thinking maybe it's not just paranormal romance, because there is a bit of a world beyond just the relationship, even though the relationship is the central story in the story at the moment, the first book that I'm writing. And then, so I was chatting with a friend. She's like, no, I'd call it urban fantasy, because you've definitely got story and romance.
Outside of romance,
Yeah, and so it's like, all right.
Story.
Sorry?
So romance is more your B story, and then there's some other things going on.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm going with it at the moment. So I'm calling it urban fantasy with a strong romantic element.
I think all the boxes.
Yeah, kind of like, do you read J.R. Ward at all?
Oh, I do.
Yeah, okay, so I love her stuff, and her first few books, I think, they're all romance, is this kind of the central thing of the book, but the world and the mythology is so important. It's which is the A part of the book and which is the B part, because they're all very interesting, they're very tied together, and so I mean, I'd love to say my books like J.R. Ward's, but I think I'm a beginner version there.
So funny, because my latest series that I just released before Christmas is also going down that track. I write steamy romance as well as fantasy, but I've always kept my steamy romance in one section, and my fantasy is a totally different story. My trilogy that I released has really, there is a teeny tiny bit of romance, but it is like so minuscule.
Okay.
So it doesn't really fit it. But the spin-off series from that is going more along the J.R. Ward line too, because I am obsessed with her, and I'm obsessed with that series and how she did it. I mean, I can never write like that, and it will never be as hardcore as that. Either. Part of me still, I'm happy writing all the big love scenes and stuff for my steamy romance collection, but it's not fitting with my characters.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more of that romance side of it and the relationship side of it. So it sounds like your work might actually be heading in a similar direction.
Well, when I joined the group, I bought one of your books. I bought one of everyone's, and because I thought, rather than download a free book, that's fully support. So I bought everyone's book, and I'm gradually getting through them. I used to read much quicker.
I'm trying.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to reading yours, because you do the werewolves and it's Native American.
Yes, it's all mixed up with a Native American story in the background. Yeah, the trilogy, they're all based on sort of either quotes or sayings. The first one being the wolf you feed quote about, feeding your anger and things like that. And those are threads that go all the way through. So, about halfway through the first book of that, the Native American things come in, and then it gets stronger and stronger as you go.
Cool. So what's your background like before writing? What did you do?
Before writing, I come to writing really late. I started 3.5-4 years ago. And prior to that, I was a teacher.
Yeah. Oh, cool. High school or?
No, actually right down the bottom with the
primary.
Little tiny mainly I taught the 4-year-olds just starting school, but I did go all the way through to the end of sort of the grade school.
So you have a lot of patience.
Yes. Then when I moved over to America, I wasn't able to teach here because my degree wouldn't pass over and everything. So I kind of gave up work and was looking after my kids and settling them in and all that sort of thing. And then about 4 years ago, one went off to college and the other one didn't need me anymore. And I was kind of loose end and I was reading like mad. And I thought, I might just have a try at this, like you do. That was it. That's when I started writing. So never teenager, nothing.
Yeah. So what have you done? So when you got started, were you part of a writing group? What have you done? Take me through that journey.
Yeah. I wrote privately, and it was just a challenge to see if I could write a novel length thing. And it was a romance that I wrote. And I wrote it and I finished it and I reread it and I thought, it does sound kind of like a story. Maybe I'd like to look into this a little bit further. And I happened to be reading a book, and I can't even remember which one it was now, but at the back of it, this person was thanking a group called Wattpad.
Oh, okay.
So I'd never heard of Wattpad at that stage. So I looked them up and found out that it was a group for readers and writers, and that you could just post your stories on there and readers could go along and read them for free. So in a fit of bravado, because I'm not really that sort of person, I joined the site. It took me a month before I did anything else. I just joined the site and that was it. Then I decided, well, I've started reading a few people's books from there, and they're quite varied and lots of different standards. So I thought, well, maybe I'll stick this on. But I didn't really quite understand how Wattpad worked. So I just took the whole story and stuck the whole story on. Didn't do any of the chapter week by week thing or anything like that. And first couple of weeks, it was very, very quiet and what have you. Then all of a sudden, started noticing these little reads and everything. And then by the end of the first year, I had got some, I think like nearly 100,000 reads or something like that on this story. By then I'd been writing The Wolf You Feed as well. And I got through to the second book in the trilogy and had just started the third book. So I decided to put that one up as well. And that, I kind of never looked back. I was obsessed with Wattpad for about 2 years. And a lot of people on there persuaded me to have a go at producing the first book. But I was just like too terrified to even send it off to anybody. It was just like, so I decided to self-publish it, which I did one quiet dark night, and I just stuck it up and didn't tell anybody.
Which is the way to sell books.
It was ridiculous. And then I kind of got really into it. Just after I put it up, or the following November, I did NaNoWriMo. I don't know if you...
Yeah, I did it last year. I wrote my first draft.
So I wrote my second book in the cocktail series at NaNoWriMo. And then I finished off the trilogy, and I published those one after each other about 6 weeks apart, I think. I'm just addicted to it, basically. I don't actually really care that much if I don't sell it.
Yeah, you just love the writing.
Really like the process of writing. I'm a useless marketer, but I like the process of writing, and I like the education it's given me. Mm-hmm. It's been like going and doing a university degree.
Yeah.
You know. So that's basically it.
Yeah, it keeps the brain active, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. And for me, it really filled a big void, because I was kind of becoming this spare person. My kids are grown up, you know, I was getting empty nest syndrome and all that sort of thing. Because I wasn't working any longer and stuff, I had at least long days. The house was as tidy as we're ever going to get. And I felt I needed to do something. But I've been outside the workforce for a long time, so I was kind of really nervous about doing that. So I fell into this, and so now I do it full time. Yeah, I shouldn't do it full time because it doesn't pay me to do it full time.
You know, you love it.
It's the cheapest hobby in the world. So
it's the cheapest what?
Hobby in the world.
Yeah, can be. Mine has been the most expensive, but it's funny, switching from non-fiction to fiction. Fiction is a lot cheaper. I mean, because my non-fiction was a cooking show and cookbooks, and so you need beautiful images, and you need, it's very visual centric. So then you actually have to make the food and make the recipes and trial the recipes and build, do all of that stuff. So that's very labor and money intensive. And then, I made all the mistakes, print runs and all of that stuff. So from that end, it's been a very expensive design. Whereas coming and doing fiction, it's like, man, I can do all of this for under $1,000, and even under 500 or even cheaper if I really needed to. But, with editor and cover design and then the rest I can upload because I've learned how to do that. Just like, this is actually heaps cheaper. A black and white book is, and the royalties are better as well, because again, with the print books, even with the ebooks, the royalties are smaller because they cost so much to produce. And it's just all these things that I wish I'd learned early on,
Yeah.
But oh well, that's how you learn. And I'm doing it because I like it and I love it. And yeah, I just want to spend my time writing at the moment. So how much do you write a day? Like how long do you spend?
It really varies. I mean, I find I can write or I can edit.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people will like say write in the morning and then edit in the afternoon or something, but I just don't seem to be able to do that. So I generally have several books in a cycle. I just finished writing one, and 2,000 words is probably a good amount for me. Yeah. But after saying I don't edit at the same time, I do kind of edit my chapters as I'm doing them as well. So I'll very often pick back over stuff that I've already written the last few chapters before I then write that chapter that day, and then move on from that. Sometimes I can go up to 6,000 words though.
Yeah.
If I'm really feeling it. And beginnings of books, I'm like that.
Yeah.
But I hit this middle point when everything like tails off and it's just like the slug. I can see I've got to be over there, but I'm just going to get this bud, kind of thing. And this one I just finished, I put down around probably this time last year, actually, because I was getting nowhere with it. I'd got to this cul-de-sac, I guess, and I just could not see how this was going to go anywhere. The writing I got I was really pleased with, and I felt like the quality was so much better than anything I produced, but I couldn't see where the story was going and stuff. So I put it away, and I kept meaning to bring it back out, but then something else was being written. I had 2 ongoing series at the time, which were sort of like suffocating me a little bit. So I picked it up. When was it? Probably October again, and then I finished it off. So I wrote half the book since October, which actually it took a while to really get back into the writing habit. I was like producing 500 words a day, but I love it. Like lucky if I was doing that, but then it sort of started to snowball. So I put it back together again.
And so how long do you spend editing then, like after that?
Probably, what I usually do is I have to put things away for a long time. And I mean like 6 months on. So today yesterday I picked up a manuscript I finished in March last year. Maybe April actually. So that's been marinating all that amount of time. So I went through and have read through it all over the last 2 days. And then I'll start my editing process on that. Now, depending on what state it's in, it can take me another 3 months to edit it. Yes. And I tend to go through a couple of things. First of all, I go through the structural part, and I'm looking really for all the holes and things that don't match up and all that kind of stuff. That depends. The one I just read through, nothing hit me in the face that there was any holes. So I'm hoping I did real good on that one.
Cool.
It's one of my romance books, and they're a bit more A to B storyline. So I don't have quite so many problems with that. Then after that, I tend to pick over on line by line things. So that takes a lot of time. Can I say this more succinctly? Get rid of all the repetition, get rid of all my bad habits and all that sort of thing. After I've done that, I tend to throw it at a beta reader and then see what comes back from there, make some alterations of them. And then I throw it to my editor after that. Now she's a great editor, but she's not the fastest editor in the world. So very often she's got it for a couple of months on top of that. Yeah. So then she'll pass it back. The final edit, when it comes back to me and I just go through her stuff, that goes pretty quick. I usually do that over a couple of 2, maybe 3 days. And then I'll usually load that up into its paperback version. And I'll get the proof copy for that back. Cool. And then I have to go through that and I proof that, and I always find like 1,000 other things inside there that I suddenly decide I have to change. So, but that last little bit, once it's back from the editor, I can usually get things out in about 3 weeks of that bit. So generally, I think if I did everything one after another, it would take me 9 months to a year per book. But I have all these gaps in between. But when I have my gaps, I'm writing something else or I'm editing something else. So I have 3 manuscripts stacked up at the moment. So and then I know I should be thinking, right, what's my next project, and that one out and stuff.
But you do what works for you. I think there's at the moment. So my plan was I wrote my first draft of my fiction book during NaNoWriMo, and I finished it just after. And now I want to just tweak the ending again. I want to give my beta readers 2 different options. One is what I feel like the genre expects. The other is what I wanted to write. And that's pretty much probably what I'm going to go with. And even when I was telling my hubby, and he's like, no, Lise, don't do that. He goes, people are reading this for fun. It's like, but this is my story.
How it's supposed to happen. I know, my last one that I released, I went backwards and forwards, and this character died and he recovered, and he died and he recovered, and he died and recovered. And I won't tell you what happened in the end. I had to go with the story. So it's just endings. I hate endings. I have the most difficult thing, just trying to wrap up all those little, and that can often on my second draft be the thing that takes my time. I will often write an ending 6-7 times before I get it anywhere close to where it was. I know a lot of people write their endings first.
That's not me.
No.
No. It was interesting because I had a rough idea. The first, I was like, I'm going to write, and I had this story idea, and I even planned it out. It's like this is midpoint. This is going to be the second turning point. This will be the ending. And then my friend's like, wow, that's not 1 book. That's like, 3 or 5. Oh, okay. Right, okay then. So I went back and did it again, started writing, and then I just changed one bit. I showed my friends the first half because I thought, I just want to see, is this at all cool for someone else? And they were like, oh yeah, love it. And asked questions of the things that I was thinking. It's like, yeah, I'm thinking about that too. Anyway, and then one of my friends was like, okay, I think, this needs to happen towards the end as well. Like, this is kind of a bit of a genre expectation. So I was like, yeah. And so this is that thing where it's like, yeah, okay, I'm not sure. Anyway, so I went back, and then at the beginning of NaNoWriMo, I thought, I think I was telling Dina, I was reading Twilight, and you know how she's re-released. So you've got Twilight, you've got Midnight Sun, and then she's re-released the new one where she's split the boy, made Edward a girl and made Bella boy, all that. And I was just reading that, and I thought, and so I went back to my first chapter, and I was like, what if I just changed this? Anyway, well, that changed the entire story. It changed everything, but I loved it because when I changed it, I was like, this is
did you just
more compelling.
Flip the point of view for the whole lot, or for just so that you could do between 2 of them?
So it wasn't point of view, it was one character's reaction from the inciting incident. So I was like, if he does this, the story panned out that way. If he did the other thing, which I liked better because I liked a bit of torture, it's like, ooh. And so I just when I hesitantly gave it to my friends again, and they're like, oh, you told me it was different. I wasn't expecting completely different. It's like, it's the same world. That stuff will still happen. It's just not going to happen right now. But anyway, so then, so that's kind of what I've done. So I've got that first draft, and I was making it more coherent. And then Christmas and school holidays happened. And I know, you're supposed to write every day. I would love to. I actually was getting a little bit antsy by the end of the holidays. Like, I love my kids, but I need to spend some time writing. Yeah. And it was just hard finding that time in the school holidays. So I didn't write. I let myself read and I told myself we'll get back to it when school starts. And then in January I met Dina, and I joined your fantasy group, and we're doing our project. And so then I've been thinking, novella, because ideally I thought my first book that I'm writing was going to be a novella. And it's not going to be a novella. it's going to be a while. And so then I thought, can I write a novella? Because there's no way in hell I think I can write a short story.
No, I don't think I can write a short story either. I'm with you. I think I take like 15 to 20,000 minimum to like even get started.
That's right. And so I've started the novella, and I started it this week. And it's like, okay, I've got a clear idea. I'm going to take out this character, and I'm just going to write about this little bit, which is still background to the story, but it is not going to ruin anything in the story. It just gives a bit more background.
That's actually the hard bit, isn't it? Isolating something that if nobody ever reads this, it doesn't matter. And if they do read it, it won't spoil that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm struggling with at the moment for the project, actually, because I really want to link it to my latest world and base it off there. But at the same time, I don't want to, like,
give too much. Well, my only thing is, so it's interesting, when I started writing this one, because I'm writing about a separate character she's like a side character in the book. Important role, but a side character. And so when I'm writing about her, she's already aware of the magical part of the world. Whereas, the book is a normal person coming into the world and seeing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so when I'm writing this other story, the fact that there's witches and werewolves is kind of endemic and upfront. And I'm just thinking, well, it's not like I'm taking it away. It's an urban fantasy book, but people will be expecting that stuff. So, the jig is up. People know there's going to be that stuff in there. And so, so that's why I thought, no, it's okay. It's okay to just go straight in and say...
It's quite good because you've already got your first draft, so you're already really immersed in that world anyway. So taking it from the standpoint that you're already in there, I think it's actually really good.
Yeah,
and that's probably something I should do with the project one myself, actually, because the more I think about what I was planning to do, the more there's just too much explanation kind of to go in. So I think I might be better if I take it maybe a little side swipe from one of the other characters' points of views or something along that sort of line instead. So
that's what I'm trying, and I think that's helped me because I haven't gone straight back to my first book either at the moment. And I thought I would. I said that's my priority. I want to finish that. I'd like to do that by July this year. I wanted to do it by my 40th birthday, which is going to be in February. And then it's like...
I was the same, but it was my 50th.
And it's like, nah, you know what, stuff, I'm not going to rush it. If I publish it while I'm 40, I'm going to call that a win, And so, but then I thought, because I haven't been involved in writing it for so long, how do I get my brain exactly back into it to write the way that I was, to think the way that I was? Because if I had 3 more days at the end of last year, it would have been done. But I didn't. And so that's why I thought, oh, well, you know what, I'll try this novella. I'll get back into the world and get the vibe for it. And then I'll go back and read my draft, write the ending the way that I wanted to write the ending. And then we'll see which ones the beta readers like more. But I'll probably go with my ending.
Rereading what you've written right from the beginning can really help you get back into that voice. One of the things I've had in the past is, because I write the steamy romance lot are in a totally different, the very adult, very, all the characters swear and the scenes are graphic, and none of that happens in the fantasy stuff. In fact, you'll be looking to find a swear word in fantasy stuff and all that sort of thing, and the voice is just totally different. So I kind of have to go back and like reread all my sort of genre in romance just to sort of get my head going back into that characters' voices and stuff like that. And then I have to flip over the other way to do the other one, which is one of the reasons I'm thinking of probably actually 2 I've got coming out next year are probably the last two for the romance one.
Yeah.
Because I think it's got to that point now. I think I either have to combine this with this new series that's coming along, or I have to drop one of them, because I'm just like, I'm getting too into the fantasy. I think still come up with the romance side of stuff. So I think it'd be better if I put just a dollop of romance into the fantasy instead.
Or more.
Yeah, I think some of them might get more.
It would depend on the character, I suppose, won't it?
You do. Yeah, definitely.
An interesting thing about voice, I find the same. I find I'm in either creation mode, so whether it was recipes or writing or whatever, and then there's research mode, or there's editing, mechanical kind of mode. And I find it really hard. So I was like, I'll work hard one week to clear the slate on some of that mechanical stuff, so that I've got the free space to be creative. So having said that, getting in that writing habit daily with NaNoWriMo and continuing it, that's the best way to go. So I do that now that I can while the kids are at school and not on holidays. I will make time to write daily, but I'm really being conscious in the last few years, because I got really burnt out over the last few years, that I don't want that to happen again. This is my for fun stuff. I would absolutely love to earn money from it, but this is my for fun stuff and my healing first, and I don't want to get overwhelmed. So all those bad habits that I learned from trying to do too much, and those messages we touched on briefly before we pressed record, just that, oh, you've got to do this next, you've got to be here, and you've got to be here, and you've got to do this, and it's like, no, I'm shutting all those voices out. Like, I don't know if you ever watched Sex and the City. Did you watch that show at all?
Sometimes, yes. A lot of the repeats in bizarre orders.
Well, there's a great scene with Charlotte when she's trying to get pregnant, and she goes and sees an acupuncturist, and she can't relax, and everyone's talking, and she's like gets really stressed out, and then she learns how to tune out all the other people who are telling her about how they're pregnant and everything, and she just learns to tune out. And I feel like that's what I've had to do. I've just learned how to tune out. Yes, there's all these emails and sales messages and webinars and new things that people are telling you have to do. And it's like, no, bugger it.
I'm with you.
I'm doing it for fun at the moment.
You have to do that and not get worked up about the rest of it. I've kind of got to that place myself, which is good, because like you say, I think it does stifle then the creativity side of things, and that's the bit I really enjoy. That's the bit I want to do. I don't want to sit there marketing and shouting, buy my book.
Yeah.
Day after day after day. So you very rarely see any adverts in my book.
Well, and it's also funny how it works. I was looking at a forum the other day, and people talking about Twitter and saying, oh, if people got thousands of followers, they're not going to do anything. And it's like, you know what, you don't actually know how that stuff works, because since I started Twitter, and I resisted it for a long time.
Typical.
Yeah, since I started Twitter, I bought a lot of books that, that's how I saw. Ooh, they really want you.
It's my husband.
That's funny. But yeah, I was just going to say, so yeah, since I started Twitter, I bought a lot of books, and that's how I've met Dina, and then that's how I've met you, because Dina introduced me to the group. And so I think you don't really know how that stuff works, and even just sharing your book or someone else's book, that's how I've ended up buying lots of books. And it wasn't from any hardcore marketing. I mean, though you could say sharing your own book is that, but it's just saying, this is the book I've written, or have you seen this book that someone else has written? And if their blurb and the cover appeal and it's $1, I buy it. Or if it's $5, I buy it.
Yeah, it's similar to me.
If I like it, I buy it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, well, we should probably start wrapping this chat up, the recording. But I would like to touch base and see, how you are in a few more months. So tell us, what are the books coming out next? What's the book to look for?
So I have 2 in my cocktail series, which is my steamy romance set, and they're actually a part 1 and a part 2. I don't normally do that. They've all been standalones. But the last character whose story I've been writing, his story was just like way too big. So it turned out to be 160,000 words.
Oh, wow.
So, which is 2 good-sized novels anyway. And there's a definite split where this could happen. And I also needed, the first section of the story goes over 1 week. But then the second part of the story goes over a whole year. And it kind of felt very jarring in the middle to suddenly go from day by day, hour by hour, to this longer time scale. So there's been a split there. So I think what will happen, normally I release them once a year around April or May, but I think I will release them probably a month or 2 months apart, because the story is very much connected. And when they've read to the end, they're going to kill me. I'm waiting for the threatening note to be sent.
I'm intrigued.
Well, I was really pleased actually, because I've just read through both parts of it. Both parts are written to start the editing process. And I have just sobbed for 2 days as I've read through this book. And I'm like, this is just like one of those really ugly cry books, you know. I don't remember writing it like this, but it is. So it's going to be an interesting one.
Cool. So they're coming out this year?
So they'll be coming out this year, and hopefully around April time for the first one. It will really depend on my editor. I'm sending it off to next week. So if she can get her act into gear, that will be great. But the other one will be either late at the end of the year, or if I do decide to shop it around, maybe there'll be a bit of delay on that one. So we'll see.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
All right. Well, and where can we find you?
I'm on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBooks, Kobo, Smashwords, anywhere.
All right. And is your website angelastevens.net?
That's
yours? Yeah. And then you've got links to all your social media on there, and I'll put them underneath. Okay, well, thank you, Angela. I will just close the video up there.
All right.
See everybody for the next Friday chat.